Hey guys. So, whether you want to learn how to flirt with a woman you're attracted to, or you want to learn how to flirt with a woman in person you've just met, you're going to like this one. But what is flirting anyway? Well, flirting starts with the 3 T's, which we'll get into in just a moment. And I'm going to share the one thing you should never say to a woman when you're flirting, or really ever. Otherwise, you're going to crash and burn. But first, does this sound familiar? You have actually managed to connect with this girl you're interested in, and you think she's interested in you, but you don't want to come off as desperate and needy, and you also definitely don't want to come off as overly sexual. What's a guy to do? So whether you've just met her or you've known her for a while and are trying to get out of the friend zone, let's look at how to flirt with a woman you're attracted to and how to avoid the obstacles that might be holding you back. Because you'll never get a great girl if you are instantly turning her off. If you're new to my channel, my name is Anna Jorgensen. Welcome to Just the Tip Tuesday. So let's get into flirting. What is flirting? Flirting is making your sexual or romantic interest known to entice her to want you. So I teased you a little bit with the 3 T's. Now let's look at what they are. Teasing, touching, tension. Let's look at teasing. If you've watched some of my other videos, you know that women need to feel safe and they need stimulation, mental, emotional, and physical. But women also, at least initially, are more attracted to men whose feelings about them are uncertain. So how do you show interest while still letting her think you're not sure? You tease her. So most women know that if you're talking to them, then there's a pretty good chance you're attracted to them. You didn't walk over because of her fabulous personality, because you don't know her personality really just yet. Believe it or not, men are actually quicker to visually judge a potential prospect on the would I or wouldn't I with her than women are in judging men. Now, this may not seem like it to you, but scientifically and statistically, it is actually true. So once a woman is in a certain category for you, it takes a lot more to move her into a different category. It's different for women, and I've covered that in other videos. But for now, just know that there's some part of her that knows if you just walked up to her, it's probably not because you're looking for a buddy. So yes, that cute girl at the coffee shop that you managed to wrangle up a conversation with, she already knows you're attracted to her. So how do you introduce uncertainty? One of the best ways to tease a girl to create uncertainty is with a neg or a diss. Now, what's a neg? What's a diss? In the pickup artist community, a neg is a negative, and a diss is a disqualifier, or maybe even a little bit of a disrespect. But it has to be delivered in a playful way, or if you come across as too serious, then she's just going to think you're a jerk. But if you do it playfully, which I'll give you an example of in a moment, then she's going to know that she actually might have to work for it a little bit, that you're not actually just liking her because of the look of her, she still has to qualify. And as I've mentioned in some of my other videos, for her to be more committed to wanting you, it needs to be her choice. It can't be her relenting to your chasing. It has to be her convincing you to want her. Example. So let's say you did approach her and you just said, hey, how's your day going today? And she had a positive response because she showed you some signs of interest, which I did in another video. And you might have even added my favorite add-on, but how's it really going? Which is a little bit different, not quite so standard as just the how's it going. So when she has a positive response, then you can increase the risk a bit more by saying something like, I'm not usually attracted to blondes, but I couldn't resist those eyes. Or I couldn't resist that smile. Now, you're only going to deliver this if it's obvious she is into you. If she's really hot, she's probably going to roll her eyes. But if she's interested in you, she's going to still want to engage with you. If her attraction level is only medium, then you want to go with a lower risk tease. And remember, any new skill takes practice. Anyone acquiring any level of mastery has failed many times before they've succeeded. It's the rare exception that are really good right out of the gate. So you have to be able to expect to fall flat and have some awkward, embarrassing moments. Key point, and back to the story. So by the compliment of her eyes or her smile has to be sincere, and it can't be sexual. So you're going to avoid the T and A and L lips of compliments, because she knows you're not appreciating her lips for the words they might speak. Now the neg or dis is saying you're not usually attracted to blondes. So that's a potential disqualifier. She's a blonde, you're not usually attracted to blondes. Whether or not it's true doesn't matter. But this means that she's going to have to make up for it a little bit somewhere else. And saying you're not usually attracted to, you're not going to say it that way, but the attracted to part is the obvious sign you're interested in her, which shows her you are confident, brave, and willing to take risks. All attractive traits. So if she was kind of attracted, she'll be more intrigued and she'll play along. Now, if she sort of has a positive and negative reaction at the same time, like if she's super hot, she rolls her eyes, or she's like, oh, really? Then you can always follow up with something like, was that too much? Should I buy you a coffee to make up for it? You just let it roll. Key point, the higher her attraction to you physically, the more you can get away with saying and doing. And if her attraction is medium, she might be on the fence, then she will be looking for more subtle signs of disqualifiers in you. And if she's not attracted at all, you probably wouldn't have gotten this far. So don't worry about the rest of it. Next, Coach Corey, you might be familiar with, says, treat her like a bratty little sister. Now, I don't know if that's an original quote from him or if he got it from somewhere else, but it's a brilliant strategy, particularly because when you approach a girl, until you're really comfortable doing it, you're going to be worried about whether or not she likes you. And treating her like a bratty little sister helps keep you in the frame of mind to not get too invested or too serious about the interaction. Because remember, women can feel your feelings. So if you're awkward, she's going to feel awkward. And awkward is not arousing. Awkward is not attractive. I mean, it can be in small doses. It can be cute. But overall, you want her to feel at ease and comfortable. We'll get into that a little bit more in a minute. Treating her like a bratty little sister helps keep you in the frame of mind of qualifying her for you. But here's some disses and negs you do not want to use. Okay. You never want to use a negative or a disqualifier that is actually something you do think of as a flaw in her. That's just rude and disrespectful, and that will turn her off. Second thing, you don't want to use a negative or disqualifier that society might think is a negative about her, because especially if you don't know her, and even if she is comfortable with that flaw, she doesn't know that you know she's comfortable with that flaw, so it's just going to seem rude and disrespectful. And 3, you don't want to neg or disrespect her about anything overtly sexual. Example, do not say, I'm not usually attracted to a woman with such big feet, but, or I'm not usually attracted to a woman with such an overbite. So don't use anything that is not commonly assumed to be attractive as a neg. Or you won't even get to the next stage of flirting, which is touching. So, rule of thumb for touching, touch early, touch often, touch appropriately. The sooner and more often you break the touch barrier, the sooner she'll be comfortable with you touching her. But remember, her primary need is to feel safe, so you want to touch her appropriately. Where would you touch your bratty little sister? Where would you touch your grandma? Hint, same as with compliments, avoid T and A and L. And just in case you're not sure, safe places to touch her are on her hand. If she's wearing a ring, you can ask her about a ring. On her arm or her shoulder, on her back. Unsafe places to touch her when you've just met. Face, neck, the vulnerable areas, the whole torso area. Too low on the back. And of course, her legs or booty Now, gray zones are her hair and her lower back. Her hair, depending on how long it is, if she's got a ponytail, you can yank it. Maybe not like that, till later. But if it's close to her face, you want to kind of stay away from her face initially, because that's not going to make her feel safe if she doesn't know you and isn't already comfortable with your appropriate touch. Remember, use the bratty little sister or granny rule of thumb. You might have to imagine what that might look like. And again, unless her attraction is really high or you're Tyrone, it's last call at the club. But for y'all regular dudes, follow the sequence. Tease, touch, tension. Which brings us to tension, as in sexual tension. And then I'm going to share with you the one thing you should never say to a woman to get her to want you. So of course, how to flirt with a woman you're attracted to make her want you must include sexual tension. This is where a lot of guys put the brakes on because tension is uncomfortable. But no sexual tension equals no sex for you, aka the friend zone. You can tease her and you can touch her, but if you do not sprinkle in some sexual tension, she'll quickly dry up and lose attraction. And if the thought of doing any of these things makes you sick with anxiety, then stick with me, I have a solution for you. So yes, sexual tension is imperative, but you don't want to overdo it because then you'll come off as creepy and lecherous. And if you were able to slip it in to the conversation at some point about not normally being attracted to blondes, you've already included some sexual tension because you've implied that you're attracted to her. Now, some other ways to increase or create sexual tension are to, 1, make your touch linger longer. So even if you're only touching her hand, if you pull her hand to you and investigate her ring, here's my ring I'm wearing today, then you can ask her some questions, or you can ask if, you can read her palm, or you just place your hand on her shoulder, but you just linger a little bit longer than is comfortable. And or, depending on her reaction, you can move into the gray zones, like lower back, depending on the circumstance of where you're at, or potentially her hair, like if she's got a ponytail, you can definitely do that. Tug her ponytail, say ponytails are so cute, or whatever. But you don't do this until you've touched her early and often enough that she's comfortable and isn't pulling back from your touch. Another way of increasing sexual tension is by holding eye contact a little longer, especially if you have a glint in your eye. This is an example of a glint in my eye. Or if things are going really well, you can wink at her, whether it's about something specific, either maybe a shared joke or like an inside joke or something you're referencing in the surroundings, or it could be randomly. And finally, the third way of introducing sexual tension is by sexual innuendo. But you need to gauge her reaction, conclude that her attraction is there, and pull back if she seems to pull back. So with sexual innuendo, it's going to require bravery, confidence, and risk-taking for sure. And it's going to take some practice to find the sweet spot. And you're going to fail because that's just what's going to happen before you succeed. But the best way to know is just to gauge her reaction on the lower risk comments that you make to her. Hint, when practicing, because this is hard, you want to ditch the goal of scoring for the goal of just practicing to get over your fear of doing it. Whatever level you're at, you're going to start with baby steps and you're going to move up from there. And I'll tell you more about how to do that if you stick with me. Key point. Scientifically, you actually learn faster by doing, but also by being mildly stressed while doing. I know. So walking through it 1,000 times in your mind, while somewhat effective to help you get out there, is not going to have the same impact as actually getting out there and doing it. And again, if this stuff makes you feel super anxious, like you don't even want to start, then stick with me. I have something for you. Now, as promised, what's the one thing you should never say to a girl when flirting, or probably ever? Here it is. Ready? It's any self-deprecating humor that you actually truly do feel self-conscious, insecure, or ashamed about. If you're out of a job and you truly don't feel like you're able to find another one, or you're having self-doubts about that, don't bring that up. If you've gained some weight and you don't want to take your shirt off in front of her with the lights on, don't joke about your weight. If you're sincerely insecure about it, it's going to come across and she's just going to see that as insecure. Remember, women mirror your feelings about yourself. And as promised, if you are struggling with being able to have the confidence and to get rid of self-doubt and to feel like you can go for the ones that you really want, but you don't feel like you deserve, then you want to check out my Wake Up to Love program. Or if you've chosen poorly in the past, you didn't see the red flags, or you ignored them because you didn't think you could do better, or you thought you'd be single forever, again, you want to check out my Wake Up to Love program. I originally created it for shy guys and for guys who chose poorly and ended up getting their hearts broken so that they could avoid that happen again. And to be confident enough and to have the self-value to be able to go for the girls and the women that they really do desire, the high-value women. Because I believe you do deserve to have the love you want. You do deserve a high-value woman, whether it's that girl you just met at the coffee shop or someone you've known for a long time and had a crush on. But I do have to warn you, it's not an easy program. There is a lot of homework, both at home and in the real world, but it does provide a step-by-step action plan for you to follow so that you can get there in manageable bites. Plus, I'm with you the whole way through. So if that's of interest, then definitely click on the link and check out my Wake Up to Love program, because nothing changes if nothing changes. Thanks for being here, and God bless.